filming, we use this electric card, and this is specially customized for filming. And as you see, there are many small holes, so you can attach the small cameras anywhere if you want. Actually, I had another choice to use the tracking rail system, but I chose this way because I wanted to put the balls perfectly in a frame, so it was easier for us to adjust the timing manually. And this is a rehearsal. We spent 2 days for rehearsal because balls only run once, so we had only one chance. And this is the capturing the Usain's great back muscle. And this ultra close-up shot, I used a special lens attached on a high-speed camera. And this is a microscope lens. And you see here, and there is a tiny lens at the ends of the narrow tube. So you can go as close as possible, and it enables us to make these very unique clips. It looks like almost some creatures. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the episode of Michael Phelps. As you know, he's the American swimmer. And we've done the special filming under the water. And that was even difficult. And this is a high-speed filming. And we put the high-speed camera in the waterproof casing. And we asked diving camera to film that. It looks a little bit too much, but actually this is the easiest way to do it. And the purpose of this filming is we wanted to record these water bubbles flow and the motion in order to analyze the water resistance of his swimming. And this is another interesting shot using the tracking rail system. Here is called Modicam. It's controlled by radio controller, and the camera itself moves 360 degrees. And this is, we synchronize the over and the beneath of the water surface. And we made this system. And actually this is really simple. And we use the 2 HD handy cameras. But it was difficult to compensate the deformation of the picture, especially under the water. I'm going to talk a little bit about the episode of Downhill. He's Axel Spindal from Norway. We did the filming in a snowy mountain this time. And this is a POV point of view shot, and we wanted to simulate what he sees. The purpose of this filming is to share the excitement of the speed with viewers, because the speed of downhill racers exceeds 150 kilometers per hour. And that clip was filmed by him. He is a retired downhill racer, and he holds this handy, small HD handy camera. In this type of the filming, we asked the specialists to provide their expertise, because this is something we cannot do. It's too far dangerous. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about Japanese gymnast Kohei Uchimura. His specialty is landing perfectly after quick spin. And our question is how he is able to control his body in the air. And to answer that, we asked him to put a GoPro camera on his head and visualize what he says. And this is what he says. Any idea? It's just a big mess. But for Uchimura, he said in his interview he's able to see the green and shooting and green. It's like a slow motion. And it enables him to understand exactly where he is in the air. And I think this is a great example to, by visualization, you can share his superhuman sense. And this is another example of using small cameras. And please watch his blink. Usually adults blink 20 times per minute, but his window blinked only once. And that was really surprising finding. And it proves how important and how imperative the visual information is for downhill racing. And this is the behind the scenes. We put the spy cam inside his goggles. And this is really cheap, but it works really well. And next I'm going to talk a little bit about our computer graphics works. And these arrows indicate the wind speed and direction instantly. And this system was developed by NHK. And this is a system called WinCam. And since I'm a techno-savvy, I really don't know how to work, but this WinCam beams a laser, and it measures the reflection of the dust in the air, and it indicates the wind speed and direction. And you can use that online. And this is another example of the CG works. We create a virtual race between rivals that never happened in downhill because it's too far dangerous. For this, we use the Swiss software. I think many of you know the Dartfish. It is really easy to overlay two pictures, but you see the quality of the picture is not perfect. It's like see-through, so I didn't like that. So in order to solve this problem, like this part, I cut out manually and I overlaid. And the quality of the picture is great, but it's, of course, time-consuming and costly. So we have to find a compromise at some point. And this is the last one, using the MRI data for CG works. He's Asafa Powell, the former world fastest man. We compiled his MRI data to visualize his bone and muscle structure. And we actually measured his inner muscle, and we found he has an enormous amount of the muscle, and that was the key for his velocity. It looks just animation, but it's real. We use the motion capture data and the MRI data. And with window, we filmed his brain image.
You don't talk during the scan. So give me a quick scan.
And the purpose of this filming is to analyze his fear of the speed during the race. And we filmed about over 2,000 brain images, and we create one 3D plane. So I had to ask Axel to be in the MRI for nearly 2 hours. And that's it. And this is just a part of what we are doing. But I hope you find some interest in it.
I don't know what to say. I mean, it's a very nice toolkit you have. I don't know where to begin. This is obviously very expensive to do. I'm not going to ask you how expensive, but it's very expensive. But it also has value. So I'm just wondering if you can talk about that a little bit. I mean, I guess justify it for me. Justify this series for me. Why is it important to be making this kind of stuff?
Well, I think you're right. This is costly. But since this is broadcast just before the Olympic, and NHK has a broadcast rights for the Olympics, so this is kind of great, I should say PR, but it's a great to attract the viewers' attention. I think that is one of the reasons we are able to get the budget from the station.
But from what I know about NHK, NHK invests a lot into science programming in general. I mean, I've seen an input before other programs, not necessarily like this, and they're not actually even all that expensive. But there's a culture of science programming at NHK. Why?
I think the science and the sports and maybe the nature is a very universal subject. So it's kind of easy, or we have more chance to do international cooperation for co-production, for example, or the after sale. So I think the subject is universal is one of the big reasons in terms of the value.
There are some questions now.
Hi. You know that I'm by the show, we showed an excerpt in the highlight session at the beginning. What I was wondering all the time, and you were telling about your cooperations with so many scientists, in a world of sports where it's 1,000 of seconds is so important, did you know, or during your research, did you stumble upon scientists who already used such analytics and such detailed analytics of sportsmen? Because I remember as a boy in school, it was already important that we were exposed to analytics movements in sports, how to do it right. And there is a long history of scientific research into sports, but I was wondering if your advanced way of introducing it to the audience has already been matched within the scientific community, or are you doing something that scientists are using right now as well because they rely on what you're doing, because those are amazing images, and I don't know if they have been out there or if you are the first one to introduce them also to scientists.
A part of your answer is right. I have a communication with certain researchers in Japan, and if they have a know-how, or if they know the way to analyze, they do. But if they don't have, they introduce other researchers in foreign countries. For example, the Usain's case, I worked with German researchers, not the Japanese. I mean, Japanese researchers helped the desk. So for me, the criteria of choosing the researcher is not nationality, and of course, it's the quality of their report or work. And plus, if they are cooperative or not, because TV people would like to have a quick answer, and often the number of the population for the analysis is not enough for the researcher. So we have to find somebody cooperative for the TV work.
So are scientists themselves excited about all these projects?
Yeah, of course, yes. And they are keen to write a report after the test or after the broadcast. But often it is really difficult to get the permission from the agent or from the to use their name.
I'm curious, which is the chicken, which is the egg here? I mean, do you come up with a concept for what you want to test? Or do the scientists tell you, for example, with Spindel, you were checking his brain to see about his fear, and I'm guessing that he's not that fearful. Is that why he goes so fast? Or what's the... I'm just wondering, whose idea was it to do that, to check his brain?
That's my idea.
Sorry?
That is my idea.
That's your idea. So you're basically, you're the scientist. You're...
Yeah. I just like to dream about, you know. And the researcher, the cameraman, is a person to, you know, to make my dream come true. I'm just dreaming about. And I think that is very important part for the director.
Well, I mean, obviously this is incredible to watch, but we don't get to see in the excerpts that you showed the science as much. But how much, if you had to divide, these programs are about an hour long or 52 minutes long, how much of it is science, I mean strict science, and how much of it is pretty pictures?
Maybe. It's really a difficult question, but my intention is to appeal to wider audience, not only the scientific enthusiasts or sports enthusiasts. So I try to use the scientific analysis or like special filming, just a base of my documentary. My purpose is to make it a human documentary, but use the scientific analysis or special filming just as a tool, you know. So maybe I don't know how much percent, but my intention is to make a human documentary.
What do people think? Oh, there's a couple of...
Kind of go back to the Swindle episode. I remember Yoriko talking to me, and I think the start of the program, part of the start of the program was that you started off with the fear, how he overcame with the fear. But the finding of him not blinking was something that you found out during the research and the production, no? And this was a new finding that even researchers didn't know about, right?
Yeah. The clip you just watched, I explained to you, he didn't blink much. And that was really new finding. And that was something, even the Spindle didn't know about that. My first purpose was, I just wanted to fill his eye for the graphical reason. So I didn't expect that finding. So that was really surprising finding. And after reviewing the clip, I was so surprised why he didn't blink so much. And I wrote to the researcher and the psychologist. And he analyzed and he explained, because the Swindle is he's very focused on the skin, and he tried to get as much visual information as possible. So that's why he's not blink much. So that was really, it was really a nice surprise in the production.
I want to come to the point about the human theme that you just mentioned about, because I remember when you presented in Warsaw the Powell episode, the Powell episode, Miracle Body. I mean, what touched me most, of course, we were all overwhelmed by all this filming technology and everything, but what touches me most for that episode is that you're talking about Powell's fear. That's why he never can won the Olympic champion, you know, because of the fear, right? And my question will be like, you always treat like the minds and bodies as your theme, like your common theme for this analysis for these athletes, or you have discovered other elements? Because I think that's really make this great documentary into another level, to become a real human interest documentary.
I like to talk about the mind in my program because I'm thinking that there might be a miracle body, but there is no miracle mind. So as a director, I'd like to deal with their mind. Even they have a strong body, they might have the fear, or they might have the weak mind or chicken mind. And in a traditional sports documentary, we only know about their mind by their words in an interview format. But my intention is to analyze why they have a fear or why they don't have a fear, how come they are able to overcome the fear. And this is really difficult to analyze the mind. You know, it's much easier to analyze the physique, but I'm trying to analyze their mind.
I'm Judy Tam from US. You may have already answered this question, but I'm just a little confused about it. So was NHK interested in creating this program, or did you actually convince NHK to convince it? And also, I think most of the world does not see women as scientists, which you seem to have a very strong capability for or propensity for. So I'm just fairly seeing that, you know, rather than just a straight director, you're more of a producer-director, at least in my mind. So could you give us a little bit of background in the creation of the series?
The original idea comes from me, and I knew NHK is one of the front runners to develop the new filming technologies, for example, high definition TV camera or high speed camera with Sony, I believe. So I wanted to develop the new program to showcase these technologies. And there is a research and development center, am I correct? Research and development center. And I went there and I asked the researchers and technicians if there are any interesting or new cameras to use for my documentary. So the proposal is originally for me, but I worked with the technician and I got the advice from them. And I submit to the NHK. So the NHK didn't ask me to start this program. It comes from my original idea. And your second question is why I don't use the women researcher? Is that correct? No?
No, that you do.
Okay, okay. Did I answer your question?
So to take this a step further, do you see some sort of industrial or commercial use for this, like say, the fact that he doesn't blink his eyes is an eye drop company, an optical company interested in your work, some sort of prosthetic company interested in the musculature study. What about his fear? Is there some sort of psychological, hypnotic state that he can be put into? I mean, has this gone a little bit further than the photography?
I hope my program gonna have such kind of influence to the society, but unfortunately it doesn't happen yet. But in the case of the Usain Bolt, I deal with his scoliosis. He has a scoliosis, and we analyze the good effect and bad effect, and we get a strong reaction from the society of the scoliosis. And also we get a lot of reaction from the parents who has a scoliosis children. We have that kind of influence outside of the broadcasting society. But like you said, I still don't have that kind of reaction from the industrial side.
Can this turn into some sort of bionic person?
Would this turn, something, is there a special lens that this man can use so that his eyes don't dry when he's skiing? Or, is there, replacement parts? I mean, do you see this as going much further? Are you interested in that?
Is there a practical purpose from this? Can scientists make something out of this in order to, steroids? Can scientists come up with something that would enhance whatever it is that they do?
From this program?
Well, from not just this program, but from what you're doing. I mean.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I really don't think so. Not sure. I hope sometime it will happen, but not now.
But I mean, this is a public broadcaster that you're working for, so there's no commercial aspect to it anyway, right? I mean, I'm assuming you're doing this, it's good television, it's educational, it's interesting.
It can be educational for everybody, but not for the researcher, because, as I explained to you, for the researcher, of course, the researcher has more strict eye on the analysis, So there can be some stimulation for the researcher or giving a new idea for the researcher, but they know much about these issues. So I'm not the person to give, I might be a person to give some new idea for them, but I'm not the person to give some information.
What about giving it to all the public broadcasters in the world for free just so they can show it? I mean, it's amazing. I've never seen this before, and it just strikes me that this is universal. I mean, there's nothing about this that is specific to Japan or any place. And I can't imagine that people, depending on the cost, obviously, that anybody would turn it down. Is that a question there?
It's not a co-production session here, but I was wondering how big the potential is, because you have big sports stars in almost every country in the world, and if it's upcoming for the Olympics, and you told me you will do something for the FIFA football championship in 2 years in Brazil, or in 1 year. Have there been requests? For example, I personally, coming from Switzerland, I didn't know you would do something with Simon Ammann, who was a ski jumper. We briefly saw something there. There must be requests, because sports rights are very important also for public broadcasters, especially the Olympic sports rights. So there must be an interest in this material or the whole production that you did. Have there been requests so far?
For the next year's FIFA World Cup, we just start the production, and we are seeking for the international co-production partner.